This was in 2023, and the actors went on strike primarily for two reasons. There were two main issues they wanted to get resolved. One was residuals from streaming services. Most of the residual stuff for TV and film, the contracts were set up for TV and film. And as Hulu and Netflix and all these other things came along, there was people not getting what they're used to getting on the back end, and they wanted that resolved. And the other issue that we collectively went on strike was, bless you, to have some kind of protections in writing against being reproduced without consent, very key, by AI, artificial intelligence. That strike got wrapped up in a much shorter amount of time because there were much bigger celebrities involved, I think, that played a part in it. Fran Drescher was much more active in that one visually as far as appearing and answering questions and things like that. And the general vibe that most of us got towards the end of that was that people were more or less satisfied with where, I keep popping my P's, my voice actor, I should know better. There's usually a windscreen though. Most were satisfied with where things were at as far as the residuals for streaming services were. I didn't hear one person that was jumping for joy about the AI thing. The general consensus was that it was not resolved, but a compromise was made and yada yada. I remember being on the picket lines for that one and talking to some of my fellow actors. I'm like, if it's not resolved, I gotta figure we're gonna be doing this again in like 6 months. And I don't like to be right sometimes, but we were. I was appearing at Comic-Con International in July of 2024 when I got the news that back on the picket lines where all video game performers, be it voiceover or motion capture, are now on strike. And this one lasted way longer, almost an entire year. I believe most fans were on board with us in the beginning. It seems like a no-brainer, like don't have robots replace the arts, don't have your work stolen from. But I noticed something interesting a couple of months in that at least online on social media, it seemed like fans' patience were running out. Specifically, fans of the Hoyoverse games like Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail and so on. And I chalk it up to a couple of things. There was infighting amongst SAG-AFTRA members from people making like double and triple scale who didn't really, they made their money and they don't really care about what's gonna be happening down the line 20, 30 years as much. They just want to get paid, get another ivory back scratcher, as it were. And there were also a lot of, as they do, a lot of YouTubers decided to just put stuff out there that wasn't true. So I have a couple of those myths that you may or may not have heard of. I can speak on that a bit, and then we can also open it up to some questions about whatever you want, and we'll go from there. So here's one, a myth that was put out there online. There was this idea that like SAG-AFTRA was being like a mafia about things and what their true intentions and goals were with the strike. So one of these myths was when a game flips union, they fire all of the non-union actors. There was this idea that they just SAG wanted to control everything, and anybody who is an aspiring voice actor or hadn't joined the union yet, where does that leave them? So there is something called a Taft-Hartley, and this is exactly what it was made for. That's how you get into the union, is if you're the right person for that role, if they want you and you're not union yet, they have the ability of just filling out some paperwork and making you SAG-AFTRA eligible. In many cases, a non-union actor can work a union job and just be made eligible, or at most have to join before the next job. So you can work one without having to join the union, and then the next one you're what's called a must join. Waivers also exist for specific situations. So that's one. Myth. SAG-AFTRA was making deals behind everyone's backs with AI companies. False. What you're thinking of is the oh Jesus. Promulgated agreement, which means it's a standalone deal with a single company that doesn't require membership to vote for it. With Replica, which is a third-party company offering pre-visualization or pre-production AI for games before they start recording the actual audio. And Replica essentially agreed to all of the union's AI terms that we've been asking management for in the main strike. So that's a good deal. Here's one that myth. Actors were just greedy, looking for money that should be going to the developers. That one seems to come up every strike. And I think there's a lot of union busting. I think regardless of what the strike is, whether it's in entertainment or people trying to unionize for Amazon or what have you, that one seems to come up, oh, they're just greedy, they just want more, they should be happy with what they have. And the truth is that every time that comes up with an actor strike, we're rooting for the developers as well. Like, hey, come join us in this if it's a more united front. Both of us, those of us like performing in the games and those of us coding the games, working on the audio, music, editing, it's just gonna, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, sort of a thing. Our union can only represent us, meaning the talent, the actors. So it's not really possible for SAG-AFTRA to fight for developers. On top of that, we specifically tabled the question of residuals for the strike because we didn't want to make this about our wallets when this fight was first and foremost about the survival of our art form. Residuals and bonuses were a part of the 2016 strike. And to kind of summarize that, I think this really got lost in the shuffle. I'm surprised more people weren't mentioning the fact that it was not part of this strike to look for a pay increase on games. Some of them we definitely should have, but no, it really was just, we wanted, again, sorry to keep repeating myself, but we wanted something in writing that protected us from them just taking our work, us coming into a recording session one time, they feed that data to a machine, and now they can just pump out voice acting that sounds like us, but kind of lifeless and robotic, and so on and so forth. So that's, yeah. Here's one that comes to mind as it specifically pertains to like the Hoyoverse and Genshin Impact stuff. I've worked on Genshin Impact, I've worked on Honkai Star Rail, and I remember at some point the parent companies were going online and kind of bragging to their investors or what have you that they were going to embrace AI, and they're going to be part of, they're not going to be dinosaurs about this, they're going to be part of the future, and it's going to be exciting and great for everyone. Which obviously puts certain ideas in your head about what the intentions are if you're on the talent side of things. And at the same time, I remember when I was looking to go back to work for one of those titles, my agent included an AI protection form that had been drafted by RSA Entertainment. They refused to sign it. So how do you think that looks? And their excuse on that, because I kind of went, I have a friend who was like a director on those games, so I just get like, what, come on, you know how this looks, what is this about? And the response we got from their corporation was, well, look, it's so many of you guys are sending in these AI agreements, we can't have different ones floating out there that we've signed, because what if they contradict each other? To which my thought was, pick one. Pick one. It's like, it's just way too suspicious that it's not like it was this elaborate thing that had so many details and like Charter A, B, 7C. It was literally just like, if you have intention of reproducing us, our voices or motion capture work digitally, at least ask us first. That's all. And they're like, no, if you don't want the gig, we'll find someone else. So that's kind of what we were up against.